Hello and good evening. You are watching Newsplus right here on ZTN Prime. My name is Faith Nyaude. A quick look at stories making the headlines tonight. President Mnangagwa today officially opened the 15th meeting of the Conference of Contracting Parties to the Ramsar Convention, COP15, where he shared Zimbabwe's journey in wetland conservation with the notable commitment to environmental stewardship by ratifying the Ramsar Convention on the 3rd of May 2013. We shall give you a heartbreaking story of a young mother who lost her husband and 3-year-old baby in the Manyame Bridge horror crash, which claimed 17 lives. In courts, Newsplus gives you the latest on the Moses Mpofu and Mike Chimombe trial, with the court giving the payers defense 4 days to outline their case. And in sport, we look at the mouth-watering Chibuku Cup draw. In our first report this evening, Zimbabwe today officially assumed the presidency of the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties to the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands, COP15, taking over from the People's Republic of China. The handover was witnessed by President Mnangagwa at the official opening of the COP15 in Victoria Falls in a momentous ceremony marked by symbolism and global solidarity. More in this report.
In his address after witnessing the official handover of the presidency, President Emmerson Mnangagwa urged the world to act boldly and decisively to safeguard wetlands.
Wetlands are essential ecosystems and also provide critical services such as water purification, flood control, and carbon storage, among others.
The event was graced by high-ranking dignitaries from different countries, United Nations representatives, conservation bodies, and indigenous communities, underscoring the global significance of wetland preservation. President Mnangagwa warned that wetlands, among the most threatened ecosystems on Earth, are under pressure from urban development and climate change.
In spite of this, wetlands are among the most threatened inhabitants on Earth. They face challenges such as habitat loss and degradation due to urbanization and development, agricultural expansion, and climate change, leading to shifts in wetland distribution.
The president, who is also the SADC chairperson, praised the Ramsar Convention for mobilizing global support towards the conservation and wise use of wetlands. He stressed on the importance of involving local communities and educating future generations.
Now is the time for us to change our mindsets and start implementing multifaceted and collaborative approaches towards protecting our wetlands.
President Mnangagwa added that implementing sustainable land use and development practices is vital for protecting wetlands from the impacts of human activities.
Zimbabwe embarked on its journey in wetland conservation with a notable commitment to environmental stewardship by ratifying the Ramsar Convention on May 3rd, 2013. Since then, we have designated 7 Ramsar sites, highlighting our dedication to wetland conservation and preservation.
Ramsar Convention Secretary General Dr. Musonda Mumba echoed the call for urgent and collective action on wetlands preservation, praising Zimbabwe for hosting a timely and strategic meeting.
We cannot act alone. It is important that wetlands are at the center of biodiversity, migratory species, capitalizing on synergies across NEAs, investing in restoration, protection at scale, recognizing, supporting knowledge of indigenous peoples and also local communities, and lastly, empowering the next generation of young people to carry this work forward.
As conversations on wetlands preservation continue, Zimbabwean lawmakers have hinted on legislative efforts to enact a dedicated Wetland Act.
We are going to be pushing a bill around so that we have a Wetland Act. For us going into the future to have a separate and designated office, a separate directorate that will deal specifically with wetlands.
As deliberations continue, COP15 is expected to produce key resolutions on wetlands financing, climate resilience, and strengthening international cooperation.
Now, we are staying with this matter, and to discuss the ongoing Ramsar Convention and its place in advancing environmental conservation, we cross over live to Knowledge, who is an environmentalist, who is also the program's coordinator for Zimbabwe Youth Biodiversity Network. Knowledge, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for making the time and joining us here on Newsplus. Now, we would like to know, how can the Ramsar Convention's global framework be leveraged to support national and local efforts in wetland conservation as well as sustainable management?
Good evening. Yes, we are in Victoria Falls and we've just witnessed the official opening ceremony to the COP15 to the Ramsar Convention, which the government of Zimbabwe is hosting. And it brings about 172 nations who are part to the convention. And the commitment that they are all bringing about is the importance of wetlands in the economic prosperity of all these nations, as well as sustaining livelihoods and biodiversity across all these landscapes. They are very important in terms of climate change mitigation and adaptation for communities. You may well know that some communities rely more on these wetlands for their horticulture produce. They are also very helpful in terms of mitigating against flooding as they act as sponges. When there's a serious flood, wetlands act as sponges. They are also very good at providing what you call ecosystem services, which is obviously your oxygen and your water purification mechanisms. But they're also good in providing cultural and support services, where we understand communities have to go there for their rituals and other necessary socio-cultural activities.
So, Knowledge, what are some of the most pressing threats to wetland ecosystems, and how can we effectively address them?
There are several threats to wetland conservation, chief among them urban development, abstraction of underground water, climate change, pollution. And these are the challenges that are even affecting wetlands at global level. And this is very important that the Ramsar COP is coming to Zimbabwe and is in Zimbabwe, so that there is cross-pollination of ideas, sharing of solutions, for example, how to do with pollution, how can it be managed at point source, issues to do with climate change, how we can improve the resilience of these ecosystems so that they sustain livelihoods and also helps communities achieve their sustainable development goals. Then there's also issues to do with urbanization, how to have effective environmental social impact assessments, which Zimbabwe is currently doing, but we need to also learn from others how they are doing it and how to improve our modalities and mechanisms so that wetlands are protected. So the Ramsar Convention coming into Zimbabwe is not only just important for Zimbabwe for diplomatic and transboundary cooperation, but it is also important to show that Zimbabwe is a very active player and a keen player in terms of conserving our wetlands.
Oh, Knowledge, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us those updates. That's Knowledge, who was joining us live from Victoria Falls, where the Ramsar Convention is currently ongoing. Now, on the health front, renovation works at the Parinyato Group of Hospitals nurses' residence have reached a major milestone and are now 70% complete. The project includes the installation of a 120 kilowatt solar system, a significant step towards clean energy solutions. Authorities say the upgrades are part of a wider push to modernize healthcare infrastructure across the country.
We have done the plumbing work, which is the most important because there were a lot of leakages. Most of the bathrooms were out of order, and we managed to put an additional 3 bathrooms per floor for all the 3 floors. We have also managed to put a solar powered system which supports all of Adlam House. We have put 8 boreholes, which also come with the 30,000 litre reserve tank, making sure that our nursing students always have sufficient water supply. We have also done a swimming pool for recreational activities for them. We want the nursing residents to feel at home. We want them to have a recreational activity that they can take part in.
Meanwhile, at Mbuyane Maternity Hospital, renovation efforts are progressing steadily, now standing at 15%.
On the Mbuyane building, firstly we'll talk of the reception area, the entrance area, the entrance view. It really needs us to work on it, such that one nowhere we will see that Jim Jagabat can also have been upgraded. We have the ducts inside, which are not healthy for the ones who occupy the hospital. So we are going to move the ducts from inside to outside, enclosed in a modern way.
In other news, former liberation movements from across Southern Africa are set to convene in South Africa on Friday for a 3-day summit that is aimed at charting a collective response to modern political and socio-economic challenges. Now, as shifting demographics and evolving political dynamics reshape the region, the summit offers a timely platform for strategic introspection, coordination, and renewal. With a strong emphasis on liberation-centered approaches, the gathering will assess progress, consolidate shared ideals, and reinforce the role of the movements in safeguarding regional stability and shaping Africa's governance trajectory. Our correspondent, Ndunduzo Chuma, is in Johannesburg for the summit.
Yes, good evening to you and good evening to the viewers. Yes, the summit of the former liberation movement is starting here tomorrow, where for the first time, leaders of the movements will be in attendance, adding weight to the discussions and the resolutions. This is a departure, if you remember, from previous times where Secretary Generals would come to represent the political parties. So now, in this meeting, is said to be a landmark meeting where the resolutions will take the movements forward. This engagement is very important in terms of defending the gains of the liberation, which is the primary role of the liberation movements, but moving on beyond liberation to the economic emancipation of the countries. So the political leaders will discuss how they can continue to pursue the economic liberation, not only of the region, but of Africa in the wake of the global dynamics that are developing on a daily basis.
On the mining front, legislators are calling for stricter regulations in the recently gazetted Mines and Minerals Bill to ensure that local communities benefit significantly from Zimbabwe's mineral wealth. A workshop to unpack the bill was held at Parliament today, with lawmakers emphasizing the need for mining companies to give back to the communities that they operate in. Our reporter Sharon Minjanjema has more details.
The Mines and Minerals Bill has been in and out of Parliament since 2015. In 2018, it was rejected by President Emmerson Mnangagwa and sent back to Parliament over reservations on its prioritization of miners over farmers. The bill has since been redrafted to address some of these issues, but legislators say more should be done to ensure Zimbabwe's rich natural resources benefit locals.
What we are going to prioritize mostly actually is to make sure that the bill speaks to the beneficiation of the entire masses of Zimbabwe, especially the communities where the same minerals are being mined. The chieftainship, meaning actually it's like the community leadership, the chiefs must be involved. Communities must also benefit.
Speaker of Parliament Jacob Mudenda says beneficiation of mined minerals should be mandated under the new law. Zimbabwe loses over $1 billion United States dollars annually by exporting raw minerals as opposed to adding value locally.
The current bill says there will be some encouragement. No. Our minerals must be value added. and beneficiated, not to encourage. It must be instructive. It must be peremptory. It must be peremptory. Otherwise, we carry on with our minerals being processed outside the country.
Some legislators applauded the bill's reservation of the small-scale mining sector for locals only. The legislation also prohibits mining in 450 meters proximity to homes and farming land. This clause was introduced to resolve the largely criticized tenet of the old law that required farmers to surrender their land to miners in the event that minerals were sited on their farms. But farmers still have grievances.
If a farmer sees that the miner is giving them problems, they can force the farmer to buy that farm. But in the setup of Zimbabwe, once you sell your farm, you will not be able to buy it elsewhere. Therefore, it means that you are being forced to sell, you are not forcing them to buy, you are being forced to sell. So it gives the miner more power in that they can misbehave just to manage you out.
Concerns have also been raised that the strategic minerals clause excludes locals who may not afford the $1 million United States minimum investment required to secure a license for these. Shira Munjenjema for CTN News at Parliament.
We have the latest on the Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu defense case when Newsplus comes back.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth. This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go! Lights, camera, action. Put your mind on it, live the life that you remember.
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Didn't graduate? I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoilt.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Businessman Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu's defense case will take 4 days to complete after Justice Pisirai Kwenda postponed the matter to the 4th to the 7th of August. The Joe is accused of defrauding the government of over $7 million in a presidential gold pass-on scheme. They had sought discharge at the close of the state's case, arguing that Black Deck Private Limited, the contracted supplier, should have been charged instead. However, Justice Kwenda dismissed their application, ruling that a prima facie had been established. Up next is our court update with Yokai Karingeseka.
The owner of Inter-Africa Bus Company, Leonard Mukumba, has reportedly been defrauded of $87,210 United States in a failed land deal. The alleged scam involves lawyer Jacqueline Sande, who appeared before Harare Regional Magistrate Don Ondirowe facing fraud charges. She was granted $300 United States bail. According to prosecution, the incident took place sometime in January when Mukumba had purchased a property located in Waterfalls, Harare. The 4,009 square meter property was owned by 77-year-old Maria Gareth Stole of Eastleigh, Harare. Mukomba allegedly paid 85,000 United States dollars for the property and an additional 2,210 United States dollars for the transfer to Sunday, who was representing Stole in the transaction. An agreement of sale was signed between Mukomba and Stole on the same day. However, the state alleges that despite receiving the full payment, Sunday failed to facilitate the property transfer. Meanwhile, a financial intelligence unit analyst, Tonderai Herbert Makoni, appeared before the regional magistrate Ferris Chakanyuka facing charges of fraud. He was granted bail of 200 United States dollars and is scheduled to return to court on August 29. The case centers around allegations of extortion targeting Bulawayo businessman Edmo Maposa, who is the director of Russian Ware Private Limited, a plumbing contracting company. Makoni and two accomplices allegedly orchestrated a scheme to freeze Maposa's company accounts under the guise of financial malpractices. Between May and June 2025, the accused reportedly demanded a bribe to resolve the issue. One of the accomplices, Wisdom Mutami, allegedly approached Maposa on May 16, pretending to be Makoni's relative, and initially demanded 3,000 United States dollars, but later agreed to 2,500 United States dollars after negotiations. Despite receiving the funds, the accused parties became evasive and the accounts remained frozen. Left with no resolution, Maposa reported the matter to the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. Makoni's alleged accomplice Mutami was arrested in Bulawayo and is set to appear in court soon. Well, Nyamima is still on the run. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I'm Yokai Kerengezeka.
From the courts, let's take a look at developments on the agricultural front. Now, in a significant boost to Zimbabwe's agricultural sector, President Mnangagwa has donated 30 grain carrier trucks and 15 Isuzu 4x4 single cabs to the Grain Marketing Board, GMB, and the Agricultural and Rural Development Authority. The initiative underscores government's commitment to enhancing grain transportation and improving the efficiency of agricultural operations, which are vital for the country's economic stability. Dr. Anxious Masuka underscored the importance of providing vehicles to GMB supply chain managers.
The president has responded with his usual magnanimity and given us 30 trucks, 20 to GMB, 10 to ADA. But the supply chain managers, who used to be called the depot managers within GMB, also need motorization, just like the president has provided motorization for the district business agricultural advisors. So the first tranche of 15 trucks has now been given. I'm pleased to announce that all the payments that were outstanding from last year have now been done, and now we are chasing payments for this year. We encourage farmers to deliver. Government is also establishing a crop purchase buffer fund to enable us to assist Treasury to meet its obligations when they are due.
This underscores the challenges faced by the agricultural sector and the government's ongoing efforts to address them. In addition to the vehicle donations, the government is in the process of establishing a crop purchase buffer fund. The fund aims to assist the Treasury in meeting its financial obligations when they are due, further ensuring that farmers receive the support that they need to thrive. GMB welcomed the president's gesture.
So these are 4-ton trucks which will go a long way in improving efficiencies in our system, reducing costs. Generally, we would require around 700 trucks per season. So with these ones, which are ours, it is going to improve in that regard. It will also save on the cost of farmers as we collect grain from collection points in different wards.
This allows for timely delivery of inputs to our farmers and ultimately increasing production and productivity, leading to food self-sufficiency, food security and food sovereignty. Further to that, this will go a long way in cost containment.
Now, the ongoing facelift of the Chinoi Provincial Heroes Acre by the Zimbabwe Defence Forces, Hunyani Farm and partners is progressing well, with the force confident of meeting set deadlines. The refurbishments are expected to be completed before this year's Heroes and Defence Forces Day celebrations. Now, the first phase includes construction of state-of-the-art ablution facilities, guard room, installation of security fence, and sprucing up of the entire shrine. ZDF Unyani Vice Board Chairman, retired Air Vice Marshal Dennis Jaricha, was pleased with the works.
Yeah, this place was sort of being neglected, almost being run down, but then as defense, as Minister of Defense, also the fact that we are also operating Unyani Farm here as part of our economic development projects, we thought it very crucial that we don't forget our past. And then with our partners who are here to assist us, help us, we are now revamping this place.
The Chinhoyi Provincial Heroes Acre is in the environs of the site of the famous 1966 Seven Heroes Battle. The Chinhoyi battle, which occurred on the 28th of April in 1966 close to the shrine, involved 7 Zimbabwean freedom fighters who engaged in a fierce gun battle against the Rhodesian forces. Now, visiting Ugandan pastor Robert Kayanja has praised Zimbabwe's peaceful environment, describing it as a catalyst for economic development. He called on other countries in the continent to learn from Zimbabwe, citing freedom of worship as one of the key components that promotes unity. Pastor Kayanja was speaking on his arrival at the Robert Mugabe International Airport earlier today, ahead of the Benny Hinn Healing Crusade that is set for the 10th to the 12th of October at the Miracle Grounds in Harare. On Tuesday, the International Mission and Crusade Director, Dr. Murray Dawn, arrived in the country for groundwork. Zimbabwe will host one of the biggest spiritual events, led by Pastor Benny Hinn.
First of all, I want to thank God for the leadership in Zimbabwe and President Mnangagwa and all the people involved in and the leadership at the airport. First of all, the peace you have in Zimbabwe, the freedom of worship, and the season God has given Zimbabwe. I don't think we've ever had a moment like this in history. This is not only just for spiritual nourishment, but this is going to help bring the country together. We saw it in Uganda. People of all walks of life, people from political persuasions, they all came together, and the country was united. From the president to the peasants, people came believing God for their loved ones, for their family, for the country, for the nation. So such a crusade, especially of Pastor Benny Hinn crusade, it brings a lot. It attracts people. We had over 68 nations in our nation. Some of them, we discovered them after the crusade had ended because they had come, embedded themselves in the public. And so that's what you're going to see.
American playwright Stephen Adly Gurgis once said that no parent should ever have to lay their child to rest. He contends that this goes against the natural order of life. Excuse me. Now imagine how unnatural this would have been for Gurgis, a young mother bearing a husband and their 3-year-old daughter on the same day. Tavares Mochiwa attended the burial of 3 of the Hunyani Bridge accident victims and filed the report.
Life may be said to be predictable. Yes, but this perhaps may be way too fickle for a human mind to fathom and contend with. One moment Nyasha was a mother and a wife, but in a blink of an eye, she's a widow and childless. The last time she saw and heard from her daughter and husband was when they cried for help. Their last moments. Rainford Jerry and daughter Chantal trapped under a heap of metal, a combi which had succumbed to the brutal weight of a 30-ton haulage truck. Nyasha was also trapped in the same combi, but she watched helplessly as death slowly ripped her family apart. Today she bade farewell to her loved ones at Zororo Cemetery. 2 coffins, 2 graves, all weighing heavily on one individual. Nyasha asked to see her daughter for one last time. Maybe, just maybe, this may give her closure.
Reni asiya mukadzi, anova mukadzi zvekare anga ari mumota yakafira Reni by accident.
ndo tototi apona ndipaburire tsono mwana yeye mudzimai wake nekuti reni magariro anga akaita mota anga akabata mwana wake pamakumbo saka ndo wakabva watsakati vari vangani vari vaviri mudzimai kanga ari kwake ndiye akararama ndiye waasiya panyika zvokuti kutaita kuti imba yareni yavharwa hakusisina zvekare because hatizivi kuti mukadzi after fini wachafungawo kuti kudii.
Dark cloud has come over Chingaos Street in St. Mary's, Chitungwiza. It's sunset for the Jere and Mugere families. Hugs and sad countenances as families converge to pay their last respects to their loved ones who are set to be laid to rest.
20 meters from the Jere family home, another family was mourning a loved one. Not even the church hymns could lighten the somber atmosphere. Prodigus Mugere, a father known for his love for football and expertise in beads, snuffed away in a violent manner. He ran a football academy for young people, through which one of his sons received a scholarship. But the young boy now has to embark on this journey alone, without his father's guidance.
Marine academic team yebhora yevapana maanda 12 13 14 izvo zvane mwana wake mukomana akatowana scholarship through soccer zvichibva kuna abroad saka munhu anga achiita zvakati one day.
A devastated Moses now has the responsibility to look after Prodigus' 4 young children. And maybe the football prodigy may still have a father figure to guide him.
And asiya mhuri yake ane vana 4, 2 boys, 2 girls. Chinova chimwe chironda changu chekuti mutoro wangu ini nekuti ndichiona kuti vana ivavo vachakwanisa kuwana here zvavaipiwa nababa wavo kuti vakwanise kurarama upenyu huchararamwa nevamwe vana vane vabereki. Upenyu hwake hwavhurirwa panzira.
Sekuru Boba, as Prodigus was known among his kith and kin, was a well-respected individual in the community. Even in his death, the respect echoed, a hero among his own.
What remains are memories, pictures, and wounds that the bereaved doubt will ever heal. The burial is done, but who can answer why 17 lives were lost in one bizarre moment? Spare a thought for the wife who lost a husband and a daughter. How will she cope?
Our heartfelt condolences to the families of those who are bereaved. Newsplus takes a quick break. We'll be back after this.
This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's
go! Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now we take a look at news from around the world. Rescue efforts have intensified at an artisanal gold mining site in Lomera, South Kivu, after a deadly landslide collapsed multiple mining shafts, killing at least 10 people and leaving dozens trapped beneath the rubble. It has been confirmed that at least 10 miners were killed, though officials warned the death toll could be significantly higher due to the number of people likely underground at the time.
Balingia jana juzi na zeroere sisai tukishtuka gombanisha kubatosha uwezo wa Mungu tunatumania tutabatosha. Merci sana.
C'est un peu ça. Jusqu'aujourd'hui, au deuxième jour, il y a beaucoup de personnes qui sont encore dans les décombres parce que un puits peut utiliser 20 à 50 personnes ici localement et ils étaient en plein travail cette nuit.
Over in Ghana, they are ramping up efforts to tackle its plastic waste crisis with a nationwide push for recycling and sustainable waste management. Now led by the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, popularly known as MIST, a $7 million initiative launched earlier this year is driving the country's transition to a circular economy. Beyond its environmental impact, the recycling movement is also helping to address unemployment by creating income opportunities for residents. Ghana produces an estimated 840,000 tons of plastic waste each year, but until this year, only around 9.5% of it was recycled. The rest typically ends up in drains, open areas, or the ocean, endangering ecosystems and exacerbating urban flooding.
When rain falls like this, the pure water rubbers and pure water bottles all are always roaming, and the community always flood, and the gutters always choke. But for now, the cleanup has changed everything. Now when you get to some places, the gutters are not always changed, are always choked. Everything is always neat.
It creates a lot of problems in our community. The plastic waste they put wherever they get, maybe gutters, maybe in the taxi, maybe in trotro, they spread it a lot in the community. But for now, I think the initiative they brought is helping the community to keep the plastic bottles in one side.
Now, in Bubaraye Dakolo, king of Gabranto town of Nigeria's Bailesia state, has reacted to the recent United Kingdom court ruling, which found that Shell and its former Nigerian subsidiary can be held liable for decades of oil pollution and environmental damage in two Niger Delta communities. The case that was filed by residents of Bailesia's state-impacted areas centers on long-term environmental damage tied to Shell's activities. Now, King Dakolo reflected on what he described as the continued exclusion of local communities during oil booms as well. Shell Company claims that most of its pollution is from criminal sabotage, as well as stolen oil and illegal refining practices, and that it is not really responsible for pollution that has been caused by others. In Senegal, the historic city of St. Louis, once the country's first capital and now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is now under threat from rising seas, with coastal erosion and flooding forcing residents to abandon their homes in many neighborhoods that were seen deserted and covered in seaweed after the water briefly receded. In response, authorities implemented several emergency measures. Dikes and breakwaters were installed to reduce the risk of further encroachment by the sea, and a resettlement area named Diogbok was constructed further inland.
Par rapport au risque que la mer revienne un jour, là, je pense qu'il y a des raisons d'être optimiste. Parce que depuis qu'on a installé les prises là, depuis qu'on a fait ces briques de protection là, et qu'on a relogé certains sinistrés qui étaient les plus impactés.
You are watching Newsplus. We'll be back shortly with some business news.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth. This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go!
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
It
ita munona.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. Karo mwana mnimambama mu studio. Wakatarisa munhu so Erica like where you are sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako yo Afro chakuti ndo music manje no yeMzimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so Shona kana kuti Chindevere kana mumwe mutaure muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe. Ndiwo rupawo rwako. Ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erica Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
Captain Wally J's about to take you to boot camp.
It's the riveting science and tech show that keeps you up to date with the hottest gizmos on the block and revealing the illustrious and innovative visionaries in Zimbabwe. So much to see, you'll keep swiping.
This cherry red beauty is the Dairy Auto M7 mini electric car.
They've designed our brute force incubator board.
Look at what we've got here.
Solar powered scarecrow was part of the project that I was supposed to complete.
Catch Swipe every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294. Get the picture?
Welcome back. We now take a look at some business news. Zimbabwe's job market is undergoing seismic shifts. As artificial intelligence and remote work redefine the global labor landscape, Zimbabwe's economy faces unique challenges and opportunities. Eben Mabunda gives us the full picture.
With over 30,000 graduates capped annually, the absorption capacity of the local job market is increasingly under scrutiny. The Zimbabwean job market is stretched thin at the intersection of technological disruption, economic pressures, and demographic change.
Countries like Kenya, countries like Nigeria, countries like Rwanda, or even South Africa, have led, in terms of the digital transformation. But the key things that we need to learn from them, I would say it's fourfold. Number one, we need to relook at our education system because, look, the market is now requiring that skill. The AI, digital skill, and so forth.
Amid this evolution, remote working is gaining traction. Companies like ZimWorks, which recruit virtual workers for global clients from Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Costa Rica, are expanding.
There's many things that AI can do, but it can't do it. We're currently a little over 1,300 between the three countries, and we'll be at 2,500 by the end of the year. We already have the business, we already have the designated industries we're going to, and the clients, so we know pretty precise guesstimates that what we'll be at. So we're going to target the 2,500.
But even as new opportunities emerge, the majority of the workforce continues to battle depressed wages. Incomes in Zimbabwe are lagging behind those in regional economies like Zambia, Botswana, and South Africa, both in the private and public sectors.
On average, the salary range in Zimbabwe is ranging from $500 to $800, but it can go as low as $300. But let's just work with $500 to $800.
Okay.
Let's go down south. Let's start with Zambia right now. They're averaging from $1,000 up to $1,500. Let's go down to South Africa. It's actually above that.
The government wage bill remains under pressure, with Treasury keeping a tight leash on recurrent expenditure. This has capped salary growth for civil servants and other state workers.
If you really want to look at the average Zimbabwean, even in the formal sector, those that are employed, their average salary is like $400 or even below that. If you look in the period between 2019 and 2024, we have seen growth in the informal sector. And there has been a lot of exclusion of the informal sector in terms of data and analysis and the statistics.
As a result, many workers are shifting into the informal economy, which now accounts for over 70% of employment in Zimbabwe. From side hustles to full-time vending, informal trading has become the default. And for some, the solution is beyond borders. Zimbabwe continues to lose professionals to neighboring countries and overseas markets a brain drain that is eroding domestic capacity. From the rise of virtual workspaces to the pressures of low wages, Zimbabwe's labor market is being reshaped by local constraints and global currents alike. The challenge ahead is how to retain talent, expand formal employment, and align education with the demands of a rapidly digitizing world. Iben Mabunda, reporting for ZTN Prime in Harare.
Let's just now cast a spotlight on some economic matters that are affecting others globally. Factory workers and business owners in Maseru say they are already feeling the impact of Donald Trump's planned 50% tariffs on the country's textile industry, the highest tariffs that were imposed in the world. Restrictions have been paused by the US ahead of trade talks around the globe, but many others also reported that customers have started looking elsewhere, with a devastating effect on the economy. Now, some footage that was filmed last Friday and Saturday showed the industrial area of Maseru, with locals and factory workers walking along the streets. In West Africa, the worm economy is big business, with edible insects and parasitic worms often in high demand. In Burkina Faso, it's all about shea caterpillars, a specialty of the western region, which serve as a vital source of income for tens of thousands of local women. Known locally as chitomo, the protein-rich shea caterpillars are a sought-after snack and commodity among the people of Burkina Faso, as well as among international visitors. In the town of Bobo Dioulasso, these caterpillars emerge between July and August during the rainy season. Typically, women from the surrounding towns of Bobo Dioulasso, Orodara, and Banfora gather the insects, which are then sold locally.
Moto isansi amba bwa kono anafo kon dondoni sono mancha dondon
permettre aux femmes qui interviennent dans le commerce des chenilles là de se faire un peu d'argent parce que c'est une tribune où elles vont avoir la chance d'avoir beaucoup de personnes qui vont venir acheter et comme ça va leur permettre de multiplier leurs revenus quoi.
Still on that global business front, the European Union, EU, is intensifying negotiations with the United States in pursuit of a resolution to an ongoing trade dispute, while simultaneously preparing a set of potential countermeasures in the event that the talks fail. Now, while diplomacy remains the bloc's priority, the EU is laying the groundwork for alternative outcomes, including the implementation of additional retaliatory measures. The consolidated list will combine already approved tariffs on 21 billion euros, that's approximately $24.6 billion worth of US goods, with a proposed list covering an additional 72 billion euros in American exports. Now, the combined measures, however, will not take effect until the 7th of August. Now, still to come on Newsplus, we give you the details on New Zealand's win against the Chevrons. Stay with us.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J. All right.
Put your seatbelt on.
Welcome back. Now in our look at sports, we start off with some cricket. New Zealand beat Zimbabwe by 69 runs in the final round robin match of the T20 International Tri-Series at Harare Sports Club today. Batting first was the Black Caps, who made 190 for 6 in 20 overs. Wicketkeeper Team St. Fert top scored with 75, while Rachin Ravindra had 63. For the Chevrons, Richard Ngarava was the pick of the bowlers with figures of 4 for 34. In reply, the Chevrons were bowled out for 130 in 18.5 overs. Tony Munyonga had 40, while Ish Shodi impressed with bowling figures of 40 for 12. New Zealand finished the round-robin stage with 4 wins out of 4 and will face South Africa in Sunday's final at Harare Sports Club. Now, still in sport, Zimbabwe will host the 2025 COSAFA Under-17 Boys Championship next month, with 12 nations from the region set to take part. This championship, which doubles as the AFCON Under-17 qualifying tournament, will run from the 11th to the 20th of September, with matches being played at Hart Stadium in Harare as well as at Ngoni Stadium in Norton. Angola, Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Madagascar, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, Zambia and Zimbabwe are the participating countries, with the top 3 teams qualifying for continental finals. ZIVAF President Nobile Magwizi says the hosting of the COSAFA Under-17 Championships is part of their efforts to reset Zimbabwean football.
As you may see, we are resetting Zimbabwean football. I think the thrust is to reinvigorate the grassroots. And as part of reinvigorating the grassroots, we need to clear, or rather create clear pathways for talent identification and talent growth. And the COSAFA tournament, which we are going to be hosting in September, is one of those platforms which allows for talent identification and for talent development. Those of you who remember from way back during the times of, say, Alois Bunjira or Peter Ndlovu, they grew and became better players, internationally recognized, because they had gone through these pathways. So we are resetting our grassroots structures. We are restructuring our technical department to make sure that we stand a strong chance of performing better in future tournaments.
Magwizi also highlighted the importance of the young warriors doing well at the championships.
This is what happened. This is a COSAFA tournament for under-17. If we succeed, it will take us to the COSAFA at the AFCON Under-17 Championship. If we succeed in the AFCON Championship, Under-17 Championship, we are going to the World Cup Under-17 tournament. And this is pretty much what we would want to happen in Zimbabwean football on a regular basis. And as you may be aware, the Under-17 World Cup is an annual event at this stage. And this has been done so by the FIFA president to make sure that on a continual basis we develop talent and Zimbabwe will not be left behind. We are going to do everything to ensure that we strengthen our grassroots, we strengthen our pathways, we identify talent, we get the correct technical people to help our youngsters, and we also, as part of this process, get the necessary tools so that we can perform better.
Now, Dynamo's assistant coach, Philmon Muchikakureva, has refused to give up on his team's chances of surviving relegation after slumping to a goalless draw with Manica Diamonds at Rufaro today. Dynamos are second from bottom with 16 points from 22 matches and are looking increasingly likely to face the chop.
Obviously, confidence will go down once the team is not performing well. But we'll keep working on it so that we get it right. The boys, obviously, they are worried now, and so is everyone. But we'll make sure we'll get it right and save the team from the jaws of relegation. It's not yet over. It's not yet over. We have to keep working and make sure we grind results.
Interim Manica Diamonds coach Tafadzwa Mashiri, whose side occupied the last relegation spot with 22 points, says they are not comfortable in that position.
No one is comfortable with the position that we are in. To be honest, we are not comfortable and we don't want to be there. We want to get out of that position as quickly as possible. And we are working towards that goal, such that we keep ourselves afloat and we start compete for a respectable position.
Now, in other results in the PSL, Scotland won 1-0 away to Bikita Minerals at Gibbo, while Highlanders were held to a goalless draw by Triangle at Barberfield Stadium. Now, the draw for the 2025 Chibuku Super Cup was held in Narada today, with a preliminary round set to take place next month. Dynamos will face Yada at Ngone Stadium on the 6th of August, while Triangle United will host Kwekwe United at Mandava Stadium on the 7th of August. The winners will progress to the first round, which will feature 16 teams. PSL log leaders Simbabora will play the winner of the match between Yada and Dynamos. Moors play Caps United. Scotland face Greenfuel. Telwana up against Bikita Minerals. FC Platinum clash with Manika Diamonds. Gezi Platinum Stars face the winner of the tie between Kwekwe and Triangle. ZPC Kariba take on Chicken and their rentals play Highlanders. The first round of matches will be played between the 9th and the 10th of August. Now, still now look at sport. Zimbabwe Under-20 rugby head coach Sean De Souza has called for the continuous support of developmental pathways in the country, as they are the backbone of many teams. We'll get more in this report.
Developmental pathways continue to play a key role in the growth and success of rugby in the country as they prepare players for the big stage. Junior Sebo's head coach Sean De Souza believes there is need to develop the pathway as well as increase the depth pool.
No, it's a phenomenal feeling. It's fantastic for Pete and his team to bring us such an achievement. It's been a dream from us as the Under-20 franchise, trying to develop youngsters and groom them to become world-class players. And I think it's shown in this tournament that Zimbabwe does have the personnel, and we can do well. Our goal now is to make sure we keep developing the pathway and increasing the depth pool to give the senior coaches and Pete and his team the quality players so that we stay in the World Cup. Going to 2027 is just the beginning of new things in Zim rugby.
De Souza added that the Grassroots to Greatness program has played a huge role in nurturing talent and believes there is need to cast the net wide so as to rope in untapped talent across the country.
With the introduction of the Nedbank Grassroots to Greatness program, we've just got to explore more, dig deep into the rural areas, into the untapped rugby playing schools, just to identify talent and put them in that program and see how far we can take them. We've had success stories come out even from the Sables team now, guys who've come through those kind of backgrounds and are now successful playing professional rugby and have taken rugby as a career. So yeah, I think we're in the right path. We've just got to embrace it more, give it more attention, and obviously the proof is in the pudding, and we see the pudding now.
The junior Sebus continue to act as a feeder to the senior men's side, and De Souza is delighted to see some of the boys who have come through the junior ranks succeeding in the national team.
It's amazing. It was an amazing feeling. I had goosebumps when the final whistle went. I was so nervous in the last 5 minutes, and it's like I was on the field with them. But yeah, that's the joys of being a coach, and it's a God's gift for me to be part of the development program. And I'm just grateful to have played the role that I have, and I'm honored to keep.
Now, English forward Marcus Rashford officially unveiled his Barcelona number 14 jersey on Wednesday as he joined the Catalan club on loan until June of next year. The number 14 jersey is significant for Rashford, as Thierry Henry, the footballer's role model, also wore the same number while he was playing for Arsenal. Barcelona has completed Rashford's season-long loan move from Manchester United. The loan agreement includes an option for a permanent transfer, which is set around $34.9 million. And that's it. That's all we had for you on Newsplus this evening. Good evening and pleasant viewing.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting